You know what? I turned on the button. And didn't realize I'm live. Krista, wave at me if we're live. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. We got such a fascinating guest that I was already frazzled. I'm a little bit nervous too, Brian. A little bit nervous. It's going to be a fantastic show. Anyway, welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. I'm your host, BMR. I'm joined by the lovely Krista from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. We just lost Brian. If this is your first time here, please subscribe, give a thumbs up, and hit the alert bell. Share us out. You can find us on YouTube at Texas Front Porch and Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Please subscribe. We're also on iHeart Radio, Spreaker Radio, wherever podcasts are found. And thank you to the lovely Selene out in Oregon. We're on KPNL Radio as well. I see Brian's back. Find us on Facebook at Texas Front Porch. Email us at paracryptodencounters or beyondbmr@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe. Texas Front Porch, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. If you like our content, the Super Chat is open. Yes, the Super Chat is open. So please show us some love there. You can check out our About pages on our channels for all scheduled events. I'm going to cut the music there, you guys. You know what? I don't know what happened. At first, I'm looking. I didn't think we were live. I'm going about 40 seconds. So I see Chris in the background. Then Brian, I lost Brian. I'm like, uh-oh, did I screw something up? Apparently, we're all good. We're all good. So we're going to get on with the show. Before we get started, as you all know, Texas Front Porch, Mondays, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesdays, Van Buren Variety. That comes on at 8 in the East. Beyond BMR, we come on at 9 o'clock in the East. Wednesday, and Mysterious Library and Untold Radio AM. Jason McLean, go check him out. He comes on at 10 o'clock in the East. Wednesdays, we're right back with Jason McLean Questions Everything. Jason is on at 9 in the East. Thursdays is Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, 1 o'clock in the East, joined by the lovely Krista. Speaking of Krista, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast, you can see them 9 o'clock in the East today, Thursday, tonight. If you need some more woo with the Blondes and the Booze, well, they're back on Friday at 9 in the East. So go check them out and please subscribe to them. Saturdays, Tex and Danielle Diva, Infamous Minds, True Crime. Awesome show. They've dropped about 4 shows. Go check them out. It's 3 o'clock in the East on Saturdays. Speaking of Saturday, don't forget our lovely friend Jessica Jones on Spaced Out Radio, 10 o'clock in the East. Danielle Diva right after that, 10 in the East, Spaced Out Radio. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Again, the Super Chats are open. We have a fantastic show. I'm going to bring up Krista because I don't know what happened here in the introduction, but I'm going to bring up the lovely Krista here.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on?
I was listening to the music and waiting.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the music played a little longer than I intended. And, and Brian Bland, he said, Brian Bland's done over 200 shows.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Rob, man, I can't believe this. I'm just a little bit nervous. And so I'm thinking, yeah, well, don't worry about it. It's like an everyday casual conversation. And he's like, yeah. So then good old BMR, man, I got nervous. Brian made me nervous.
Right.
So I said, man, are we live? I'm looking around. I said, yeah, we are. I go, Krista, are we live? And you're like, yeah, we're live. I'm like, okay, I look like an idiot.
Music, that's it.
I look like an idiot, but you know what? That's okay because everybody in chat realizes my mentality from time to time.
Real quick here. You got a super sticker.
Oh, long. Well, thank you. Great way to start the show.
Yeah.
Thank you, Long Island. I appreciate that. He'll be featured. He's been featured on our show before, Long Island Bigfoot. Go check him out on YouTube because he does have a fantastic show. He's a great researcher, good friend of mine, good friend of the channels. So thank you for that. I'm just twiddling with my phone because that was going off. I got to silence this. Man, I'm behind. I'm behind today.
Yeah, you're just in a frazzle today.
I'm kind of frazzled, man, because we have a great guest on. That's probably why.
Yep.
And, I'm going to get on with it. I'm just going to bring him up.
Well, I gotta say, hey, my BMR shirt I got on today.
Yes, let's model that. Yes, thank
Yep,
you. That's fantastic. That
yep,
says whiskey and beer on the back, by the
it
way.
does. Yep.
So that's pretty sweet. Thank you, Krista, for that.
Hmm.
I do appreciate it. And so, anyways, thank you, Krista. Thank you for everybody for joining us here today. We've got quite a packed house. Thanks to Gary Spikes, Midwest Night Watchers, JoJo, my stalker from the UK. Who else? Gene Hudson, Scott Morian, Renice Sullen, Van Buren Variety, Chiro Sounds, Long Island once again, JoJo again. So they're trickling in.
Hmm.
They're all trickling in. And, Wendy, Bone Nut, he must be new. Thanks for joining us tonight, Bone Nut, Van Buren. And we're just gonna pull up our guest, Brian
I was
Bland.
gonna say there's several names out there that I don't
Yeah, a lot.
recognize the
Thank
face.
you for everybody that's new here. I appreciate it. Krista appreciates it. And we're gonna get on with it here today because we've got a lot of cool stuff to go over with Brian. So Brian, you ready? Here you come.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
Fantastic.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I just was listening to your introduction, and I was thinking, if I confessed, I could go on the true crime on your true crime show.
You can. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
But I haven't decided if I want to turn myself in yet. So
Yeah, no, yeah, right. Well, you know what? You don't want to make that show
No.
because if you're on True Crime with Tex and Danielle Diva, 3:00 in the East on Saturdays, we're probably not going to see much of you. You're either in prison or, you were a member of the True Crime.
Yeah.
You're a fatality. You become a statistic. Hi, Riker.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I was talking backstage with Brian and Krista, and and this is not an embarrassment for you. You're like, man, I've done so many shows. I've been on very few, which, by the way, thank you for joining us and taking your time out of the day. Brian is from British Columbia. And yeah, so we're chit chatting. And, when I started the show, I'm like, oh, man, I did something wrong, I think, because I was all off track. I was mainly off track because everyone's going to be entertained by this show because very few people, Brian, we've come on the show that's actually had the experience you've had. Now, before we get into that, why don't you walk everybody through where you live, a little bio or a little background on yourself?
Okay, well, I was born in Hamilton, Ontario, and that's why I'm a Maple Leafs fan. Go Leafs, go!
Yeah, go
Big
Leafs.
game today.
Yes.
And moved out to British Columbia when I was in my early teens. Joined a rock my friend in a rock band, and we played music for a while. And that's my other passion is music and writing. And but all my life, I was always fascinated with the subject of Sasquatch. And in retrospect, when I look back, from what I've come to understand about them, is that they will tag people early on. If they can be interested in somebody for a long time and be watching them, or to put the thought or the spark in them to have that interest.
Mhm.
And you won't know it until they formally introduce themselves. And so I was continually driving around the back roads of British Columbia, looking in the woods and whatever, and hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive Sasquatch. And actually, one time, I saw a juvenile. I didn't realize at the time, but after the fact, I realized what it was. Run across the road in a provincial park in BC, and it was going like this. It was on all fours, and it was bringing its hands up like this. And I knew it was something strange, but I thought, well, that wasn't a bear, and it sure is moving fast. And then when I learned about how the juveniles can their mode of walking and whatever, quite often on all fours sometimes, I realized that was what I saw. And so in 2012, I was walking my little chihuahuas, Sparky and Lady. We're walking along the dikes in BC here, and all of a sudden I got this telepathic call, and this is the first time that really happened to me. I got a telepathic call to go to the mountains. It said, go to the mountains. And I just knew it was about Sasquatch. And I had been doing a lot of, I worked a graveyard job at the Port of Vancouver doing security. And I actually wrote my book there. That's how, that's how much time I had on my hand. So I wrote a Sasquatch book there. And I also was looking at all the Sasquatch stuff on YouTube, like the Bobby Short, the late Bobby Short, Bigfoot Encounters.
Yeah.
Website. Remember that one?
Yes.
And, so I got this call to go to the mountain. So after that, I'm looking at her site and I see there's a guy out in British Columbia who lived right in Maple Ridge, where I'm from. And he had seen tracks up in the snow, just in an area just up the road from where I live. And I thought, oh, wow, Sasquatch are up there. They're right around here, eh? So I got a hold of the guy, and it took him a couple of weeks to respond. But he reads energy, and I've learned to do that too, because a lot of the relationship with Sasquatch, if it's on a personal kind of relationship, not an investigator relationship, but on a heart-to-heart kind of thing, is energy, and they're masters of energy. So he decided he would take me out, and the very first day we went out, we had all kinds of stuff happen. And the one thing that really stuck with me for years and years and years, and I'm still fascinated with, is as soon as we hit the trail, he pointed down to the forest path below, and he said, "You see that below me?" And it was a curious assortment of sticks that formed a design or a message. And he said, "Sasquatch do that." And as soon as I looked down and saw it, I could tell it wasn't random. And I was drawn in right then. And so from that point on, for about the first 4 or 5 years of my journey with the Sasquatch people, I don't call them people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever took my eyes off the forest path, because they were just leaving me all kinds of messages, like a direct communication with me. And I learned, and over time I learned what some of them mean, and then I could communicate with them back with those messages too. So,
hey, Brian, can I ask you really quick, when you talk about the messages and the communications, like through telepathy, mind speak? I mean, when you get the messages, is it like a verbiage in your mind, or is it an image in your mind? So for people out there to try to wrap their hands around the communication, how did that occur?
Well, the glyphs are a direct, like a writing, so that's a little different. But there's also energy and whatever associated with them, and they're also personal to you. So, for instance, an A glyph is my clan leader's signature for me, but they're found all over the world, and it would mean something different to somebody else, and that's really actually how it works. As far as the other thing, I get direct, like mind speak, like a voice in my head, but it's usually thought placement or a download of information where you just have a big knowing or whatever, like instantly. And sometimes you can actually feel the energy coming in, streaming in. But the thought placement is like where they will lead you someplace, and then eventually you begin to realize what's going on, because when they lead you off trail and you're going someplace, you find these incredible things. And the other way that it is you'll get a thought, and then they'll run with it, and they'll teach you a big lesson about universal truths or something, and they'll just start streaming in, and you'll just get this big complex download, this big teaching, I guess. And excuse me. And another thing is that you'll get a thought, like I'll be walking along the forest path or something, or I'll be looking at one of their structures or something that I think that they made, and I'll think, geez, I wonder if it's like this. Then as soon as the thought is formulated, I either get the answer right below my feet in the form of a glyph or some sign, or a raven or something will fly right over my head and give a call right at that exact moment I formulate the thought, like as an answer. Wow. So it's very there's a lot of different ways. I think the thought placement a lot of people get, but maybe they just don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah. So like if somebody like maybe in the very beginning, if there was a random message or thought in your head, a lot of times you don't recognize what it is until what the experiences you've gone through. Is that kind of accurate? Like if I just had a thought in my head, where's that coming from? I often myself wonder.
Exactly. Yeah. But the thing is, with all the things that I've come up with about them and my understanding and my teachings, these are all like detailed lessons that are happening over and over and over again. They're very thorough teachers. So I don't have any doubt as to what I'm talking about, at least from my experience and for
Mm-hmm.
how they interact with me. And, I think every relationship is different, and they seem to work with you according to your strengths, like I'm a communicator. So they have me writing about them, doing my show, the Pork and Bean Show, and, things like that.
So quick question. What do you think was their reasoning for like coming to you? What do you feel like? You said that everybody has their strength. What do you feel like? I heard you say, like your writing and your show and stuff. However, what made them like just walk in and they like seen you and like, hey, we need this guy on our side? Or
Well, because I can offer them stuff because I'm a good communicator, and I write, and I'm not afraid to say exactly what I think.
Mhm.
Like I'm just, a lot of people will say, well, geez, I don't know if I want to say that because who's going to believe me, or people will laugh
Sure.
or be ridiculed. I don't care about that. I couldn't care less.
Right.
I'm just going to tell it as it is, because I figure if you represent them, which, and this is not an ego thing. They actually told me this. They said, you represent us everywhere you go. So
Wow.
that I'm getting all kinds of energy from them right now. Like
Mhm.
my whole body is lit up. That's one of the ways they communicate with me too. They send me these energy nudges, and I'm just like almost giddy. But so if I represent them, which is an honor,
Yeah.
a humbling honor. I'm not going to say, like going to only tell half the story, because somebody might say, that didn't happen, or, whatever.
Sure.
I'm going to tell it as it is, right?
So in a way, excuse me, in a way, then they processed your energy, they got into your conscience, and they decided that you would be, for the lack of a better term, like the ambassador for maybe the Sasquatch, right? To spread the good word and preach. And I don't want to say preach, Brian, or put out the positive message. These are a people, they exist, and they communicate through you to spread the word via your show, the Pork and Bean Show, by the way, on YouTube. I don't know if that's the exact name of it. I have the link in the description. And so that's kind of probably how you started your show, even, right? To spread the good word. And they've kind of fashioned some of your shows, is really kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, it makes me sound like an evangelist, doesn't it? Spread the good word. But no, that's true, though.
But in a way,
No, they are there every show. I can feel them watching, and they're like you can feel them. They guide it. Yeah, they guided me when I was writing their book or whatever. I mean, I credit it to them. They guide you all the way through, but there's also free will. They don't suggest things that you have the free will to decide what you're going to do or what you're going to believe or anything like that. So they don't infringe upon that. Free will is important because we're here on a soul journey, right?
Yeah.
And if we didn't have free will, we're not really learning our lessons, right? We got to be able to make our mistakes.
Right.
We got to be able to, so they don't judge us for that, because it's our journey. It's up to us. We have to guide it, right? They can help us. They can assist. They can give us information, but what we do with it is up to us.
Do they visit you at home?
Oh yeah,
they do. Wow.
Yeah, I actually had my clan leader Have you ever heard? I'm not sure, Rob, if you heard this or not. I think when we were on the show, you did hear this, but I'm not. But I do so many shows. It might not have been you. But have
Okay.
you heard that they travel in mist or smoke or whatever? Is that you?
Well, I told you a story regarding that I had heard, but I've heard from several people that, they can manifest out of mist or smoke, or they can appear right out of a tree and appear to walk out of a tree or a portal,
Yeah.
or the other, that quantum theory where they can manifest energy, mass into energy, right?
Yeah.
And it could be in any form or shape.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that was my experience. And so I was just laying in bed one night, and I had just laid there, wasn't even close to falling asleep. And all of a sudden I saw a cloud or a misty apparition of smoke appear in my room. And then my clan leader, he materialized out of that smoke. He became sharper and sharper and sharper until I could see his full head and his shoulders. And he just looked at me for like 5 or 10 seconds and then just dissipated. And I think he was just checking in on me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun, when you have a trust between you and them or whatever, like none of that stuff like freaks me out or whatever. I just thought, wow,
Yeah.
pretty cool, but.
I'm pretty intrigued on, prior to having any experiences with the Sasquatch people or having any communications, how has this changed your life from prior? You were Brian Bland going about your business, working a security job position, and then all of a sudden this is bestowed upon you. How did that change your life? Are you any different today than you were?
You watched the Pork and Bean Show, haven't you? Because that's the question I ask every guest. Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
I was communicating telepathically with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. I can feel you. Absolutely, man. You cannot help but be changed. Like, especially when I got this thing called the Love Zap that they gave me, which was a huge download of universal knowledge or whatever. That was like life changing. So yeah, I mean, I was always a guy who loved animals and was sensitive to people, and I was basically who I was, but they just really enhanced it, and they gave me a big understanding of who we are, as people,
Mm-hmm.
and what we're told by the media and by control and fear and all that nonsense. That's not who we are.
Right.
So
Right.
they, so what I did is, initially I went looking for Sasquatch, and by default you find out a lot about them because you get close to them and they trust you and you have that connection going on. But what they really want to teach us is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So you've probably learned some life lessons throughout your experiences.
Oh yeah. 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 They taught me, well, let me describe the Love Zap. So there was a female that I was connected to very early on. She had a beautiful floral perfume smell. Okay. And I believe that they can bring that smell on. I don't think that they stink or they smell good all the time or whatever. I think that they can turn that on and off, because I've only smelt the smell that you would describe as unpleasant a couple times, and it was just like a brief whiff. And to me, it was just like, hello, we're here. The same kind of thing as if a little rock goes on the path in front of you. It's just like to let you know that they're there. And sometimes I think with people that they don't want around or whatever, there may be a sensitive area. They may zap you, so you feel like you can't walk ahead, or discourages you from going further, or whatever. Or sometimes they'll give you a really, really bad smell to scare you away, because there may be babies or a sensitive area or something, or they don't like your energy or something. So they can do that. But anyway, so one day I was walking along with two other friends, and I smelt this floral perfume smell, really, really strong. And I knew it was Rajase, who's the female of the clan that I know. And it was so strong that my eyes and my nose were burning, and my throat. And
Wow.
it's funny because they can give anybody any audible, sensory, or visual experience that they want, and it can only be for one individual, even in a group. Like, for instance, you can hear a great big loud crash or something like a
Sure.
semi colliding or something, and then the people beside you won't hear anything. So
Wow.
anyway, I heard this, or I smelt this beautiful perfume, and I think that she was making a stronger connection with me, because a couple of weeks later, I'm walking along in the bush, and I suddenly looked to my right and had a knowing that she was in the bush. I just had a knowing. That's another big thing about with them. You just get these knowings. You don't know how you know, but you know. And I knew she was there, and all of a sudden I got hit up with this blast of energy. And it felt like, and as soon as I felt it, I said, this is universal energy. This is the universal love. And it felt I felt connected to everything. First of all, I was weeping uncontrollably right away. It was so strong and loving. Because when you feel their energy like that, it's so powerful, you just can't help but be emotional. So I'm weeping, and I knew we were all one, we were all connected. I didn't have any reason to ask any questions, didn't want to ask any questions. It just is kind of thing. I was in a perfect state. I didn't have any judgment, like I knew that the little bugs and flowers and rocks and trees and everything was all connected, and that I wasn't above any of it. It was just all part of the one, and it was just a complete connected feeling. And that was really life-changing, because that started me on their core lesson teachings, and talking about what I really think is important, at least with my relationship with them, and what's important for me and for people to know, so that people can turn this quagmire of a world and around, kind of thing. So it was very profound, and there's more to it than that. But I it was basically just a beautiful, connective, universal love kind of feeling.
That's wonderful, because for a lot of people listening and people that are into the subject with Sasquatch, in your case, forest people, how you describe, you heard my encounter story and how it wasn't very nice, right? And when I first got into this in 2018, my encounter was such that I did not think Sasquatch was friendly. Hell, even today, Brian, I even question if it was. Now, and again, that's up for debate. I'm sure it was, and I'm sure it wasn't the demonic entity that I thought it was back 5 years ago after talking with people. What I love about you is the fact that we need to hear more of these stories, because a lot of people that are afraid, for whatever the reason, is we got a person on this show who has actually had beautiful experiences. And I can tell by the way you're speaking, your inflection, your voice, that, man, this is genuine stuff coming, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Midwest.
Oh, I was just putting it up. I guess you beat me to it. Sorry.
Well, I will say that, that they won't work with you beyond your fear level. So sometimes they will test you to see how you're going to react, And also, some of the experiences that people can have the same identical experience, but it's their interpretation of it. Like, for instance, quite often they will throw little rocks on the path in front of me, and it's just simply, hi, we're here. And I'm all happy and whatever. But if somebody else has that experience, they might grab their gun and start shooting, and the damn thing's going to kill me, and I just escape with my life, and so it's all open to the interpretation of the individual who experiences it, right?
So are they like, people are good and bad? Are there like good and bad Sasquatch as well, or are they genuinely all good?
Well, I mean, they are basically a people. So I would, the ones that I work with they're the best people I could ever imagine. Wow. They're absolutely wonderful. They're like spiritual teachers. They're higher energy, higher beings than us in a lot of ways. Wow. But I think there's some that aren't as friendly as others and may do bad things or whatever. But it's also depends on how the people interact with them, right?
Sure.
I mean, if you're going off into the woods and shooting your guns off everywhere and saying I want to kill the damn thing, then they're not going to treat you with generally not going to treat you with loving kindness, right?
And throughout my experiences through talking with various people, Brian, is and Krista, again, from Krista, I've learned a lot of things, and Brandy. It's all about your intent, right? When you're in the forest, if your intentions are ill-willed, well, number one, you probably won't even see anything, right?
Right.
Number two, you might get that, I don't want to say encounter, but you might get that feeling of that you should turn around and leave. Because, when I had my encounter some time back, now I realize they were just warding me off because I was in an area where I shouldn't have been because children are around, right? So I've talked with that with Robin, as you know, Brian. So it's just your intent, right? If you're an open-minded person and you say into the forest through your mind or verbalize it, hey, I am Brian, I'm here just to be one with Mother Nature. I think that kind of is the way to approach it. Not like, hey, I want a trophy.
That's the way to introduce yourselves to them too. Just say, hey, I'm Rob. I'm Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. And I'm open to meeting you. And, don't set up game cams and all this, and try to truck them and all this kind of nonsense. Just try to meet them on a heart-to-heart level.
Wow.
So, Brian, you sent me so many cool pictures. I'm going to bring up a couple of them here, and they're probably going to be random, but they are, what I love about what you sent me, it's just not like, well, we'll get into it because I like it. I think a lot of them are more. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I think it's more of I think after looking at these, it's not going to be like all pictures of Bigfoot and stuff. We got a couple that you sent, but it's more about the communication and how this was set up. It's pretty elaborate. And again, they're going to be random. So I apologize if it's out of sequence, some of these. So I'm just going to go through just a couple.
When I first sent them to you, I had like about 80 pictures because it's hard for me to check them. I got so many pictures that I've taken. Yeah.
Well, funny story, everybody listening. Brian sent me about 80 or 90 pictures. I said, dude, this is not college. We're not doing a slideshow. I want to see your pretty face on here and do some community talking. So what we'll do is we'll bring up a couple and you can go through what it is really, or what you perceive it to be. Again, they're in no order. So here's the first one here. I'm going to pull up.
Wow.
Let's see.
Okay, that's a 3D glyph. Okay,
I'm trying to. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So this was left for me and my friend, the guy who introduced me to the Sasquatch. Well, he didn't actually introduce me to them, but first guy I went out with when I started having experiences. They introduced themselves to me. That's how it works. But anyway, so we were way back in the backcountry, and we saw this 3D glyph propped up in the sand, right? And now my meaning for this glyph is the A is my clan leader's signature, RE, right? So you can see the A in there, right?
Yes, I can. Perfect.
And then you can see an X, right? You have to look at it abstractly. So you can see the A and the X. X for me means friendship welcome. So this is a greeting of friendship from my clan leader, RE. So friendship welcome from the clan of RE. And now if you look over to the left, look at how there's a little tiny one, the same exact thing woven into it. Isn't that neat?
I do see that.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that amazing? And by the way, I got the meaning of the glyphs from, it's an agreement between you and them. Okay. And it's funny because time is not linear for them. Time is actually an invention of man. Okay. So that we have a set of a reference point, starting point. We can go through a series of, steps or events or whatever. But time is not linear for them. So the past, present, and future is all the same for them, right? So they will literally, and they've proven this to me through glyphs and through other experiences, they will literally know what you're going to come up with, or what you're going to think, or where they're going, where your thoughts are going to lead for the purpose of the education steps that you take. Years before you even formulate the thought.
Okay. Wow.
Literally years, and I'll show you some of those pictures I can talk about.
I'm gonna bring up one here. I don't know if this is what you're talking about.
Hold on a second though, because with this glyph, I just wanted to tell. I tried to get glyphs that had a pretty good story behind it, right?
Oh, yes.
So anyway, so my friend and I are looking at this glyph, and then all of a sudden we were both nudged energetically to look over to our right into the woods, right?
Yes.
And this has happened to us lots of times where we both do the same something at the exact same time because we're being guided to do that. So we look over into the woods as we're looking at this, and there's RE standing in the woods.
Wow.
And he's like over 12 feet tall, biggest, broadest shoulders you've ever seen. Like he's huge. He's a big, big guy even for a Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just standing still, looking at us. He wanted me to acknowledge that I saw the glyph and to confirm in an even more concrete way its meaning, which is his welcome and friendship from him, right? So he's watching me, seeing me acknowledge that. We look over at him, and he's just watching us. And then all of a sudden, he just glided from left to right like a phantom. We went, shh.
Oh, wow.
And just disappeared.
Man,
Wow.
that's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, that is. How often do you get to go out and visit with them?
Well, I only live 10, 15 minutes away, so I'm in there all the time.
Awesome.
In fact, yeah, I think when I spoke with you a couple of weeks ago when I was on your show, it's pretty much your backyard, correct? I mean, you're right there. Are you in the mountains or the forest?
Yeah, we got the mountains. Well, they kind of go hand in hand. Mountains and forest.
Yeah.
Mountains, forest, lakes, paradise.
It's all together. Yeah, it's beautiful. Let's see it. Let's go on to this one here.
Okay, that's just an example of one of their glyphs. So
Okay.
people will say, well, that just fell like that. Well, does that look like it fell like that?
Mm-mm.
Not really. No.
No.
And the other thing is I was thinking early on in the first year, well, like some people say, well, somebody's trying to pull a trick on you. But I would find them everywhere I went. They would show up at my house. They'd show up on my in the backyard of the house. They even showed up in my house. They would show up beside my car, like when I was visiting Oregon and Washington State or whatever. Like they'd show up right beside my car in messages that I understood, and there's not another stick or anything in the entire like lot or whatever. So there's it's beyond doubt that they do them, and it's beyond anyway.
Well, no, you can keep talking. I just want to keep us back and forth.
Yeah, that was just a pretty nice one.
Yeah.
Now you got some rocks here.
Oh, okay. Well, sometimes they do glyphs with like ferns, rocks, and different things. It's peeled sticks or sticks is the general most common way. But this is one where I had an instant knowing. Okay. I saw this. I walked by it. I saw it, and I knew immediately. And and I got in my head, one walks with four. And it was referring to me, my walk with them. Now you see the rock on the bottom represents me. Okay. The rock in the middle walks, and it looks like a Sasquatch foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does.
And then the top one walks with four. And they're in a circle, which the circle is a very important symbol to them because it's about connection and whatever. So, and the four rocks represent the four individuals that I'm walking with, right? And it is basically four individuals that I deal with here. So it was talking about they were just giving me a message about my walk and my journey with them. And then a couple of weeks later, they left me another one in a different place. Does that make sense? It's pretty obvious when you look at it, right?
Well, when I first looked at it, absolutely, I'm trying to figure out what it was. Now, the way you just described it, it makes perfect sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice there's also, I don't like to say the word levels because that's a competitive kind of word, but it is kind of like there is kind of levels or steps or progression there with the.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. I'm going to go through one. Okay, that's a little different.
That's RE. So can you see him right in the middle? You saw him, right, Rob?
I see the shadow right in the dead center.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could see his nose, his eyes, his head, shoulders, His
From the top. Well, from the top, right? He's leaning to the. It would be our left.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
So there's a story behind that. So I was driving into the woods, and I got this overpowering love zap or whatever. Or not just a love energy, and I get those all the time, right? But some of them are more dramatic than others, and this one, once again, it was so strong and so loving that I just started weeping unabashedly, uncontrollably. It was just like, from being completely so somber of emotion to like, like,
You're right.
and it's just so strong. And I said, Ari, come and visit me today. So I'm walking around snapping pictures of everything, like I like to take pictures of anything, like little bugs or interesting butterflies or the forest or their structures or their glyphs. And I was just randomly snapping pictures, and I guess I randomly snapped this picture. But I didn't see Ari there when I took it. But then after the fact, about a week or so later, my wife said, Ari's in your picture. And so there he is. And yes, he did come and visit me.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Can you see him? I'm sorry, your name's cut off now.
Krista.
Yes.
Miss Booze.
Yes, I do see him. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I think everybody who was in the Sasquatch journey, even the boots on the ground guys, have their purpose or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because they bring a lot of people into the field and they can open up possibility. But I would say this to these guys who say they don't have any abilities or whatever. Well, he's not fully materialized there.
Mm-hmm.
He's partially cloaked. So how do you explain?
I'm gonna go break. I was gonna say that. I'm sorry. Let me go right back to that. Oh, that's for later. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's not fully materialized, but he's as obvious as the nose on your face, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
he just stands right out.
And what stands out to me is you can actually see the materialization because like a lot of photos you might get, it blends into the background. This is distinctively standing out. And now, Brian, and I'm looking further, I do see the nose.
Mm-hmm.
I do see a nose and the eyes shaded brown or darker.
Right.
And I do see it coming down. I see the leg on the far right.
Yep.
And it is coming into play. And as you can tell that it's not a part of the trees in the background. That's what I love about this. Am I incorrect when I say that?
Yeah, and it's not. And so, what would you say to somebody who? And this isn't a criticism, but it's just an observation. Yeah. What would you say to somebody who says, come on, man, they're just flesh and blood. They can't mind speak. They can't cloak. They can't do any of that stuff. How do you explain this picture?
Right.
Well, for the closed-minded out there, and there's a lot, I kind of, I me, I believe I believe there's a flesh and blood existence, but I also believe that there's something else, and I hate using the word paranormal or the woo, but there is something else. There's a different element. I do believe they walk through portals. They can dematerialize. Mm-hmm. I believe that. Now, again, I've seen them. I've had so many stories sent to me about them materializing out of a tree or a stump. Yeah. You see the big stump that all of a sudden you think you're looking at a stump, and all of a sudden it just expands, kind of transparent, kind of walks off. Or it might expand and be solid looking.
Yeah, one of my sightings was like that. I was in the woods and, of course, in the woods. Well, I see you at home too. So you don't have to be in the woods. Once you connect with them, they'll connect with you anywhere. Yeah. But at this particular time, because they'll connect with you through energy. Which includes mind speak and all these different things. But one time I'm in the woods and I look over to my left, and I'm very, believe it or not, people might not think this, but I use a lot of discernment. But then when the lessons become so obvious, you get to recognize what things are for what they are. But I still always use discernment first. So I'm looking over to my left and I see what looks like a stump. And I thought, geez, that kind of looks like a Sasquatch. But I kind of said, whatever. Then I kind of see it looks like a kind of a conical head bobbing up and down it looks like from behind the stump or part of the stump or whatever. And I'm still like, because it was kind of dusk and I could see clearly, but it was still dusk. So I'm thinking maybe my eyes are just playing tricks on me. So then I looked away. My attention was taken elsewhere for a second. And when I looked back, the stump was completely gone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
You know, that picture that you just had up, what I noticed about it, and I'm the world's worst for pictures. I'm very skeptic of pictures. However, I will tell you that picture I made it bigger and zoomed it in on my computer, and even the coloring of it was different than like the trees or something behind it where people say, "Oh, that's pareidolia." The coloring was different. If you notice that.
That's what I
yeah,
noticed, and I kind of said that a little earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, it stands out because Brian,
Yeah.
you so many,
Me too.
and I believe Brian, I 100%, I do. Now, some people I spoke with, they'll send me identical type pictures, and and listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not condemning or criticizing these people because
Right.
everybody is subject to what they perceive or what they see, right? But some of them you can tell, and and I'm a nice guy, and I hate to say, well, because they ask me, hey, Ron, what do you think about this picture? And I'll say, I probably don't even comment, right? I say, well, it could be this, that, or
Mhm.
the other. But when I was looking through Brian's pictures, I knew right immediately that this was
I'm not
the
gonna
real
lie,
deal.
that one caught my attention, and Rob can attest. I'm very,
Oh,
very
yeah.
weird with pictures. Like I don't believe.
Krista is like, when in doubt, throw it out.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is,
I'm like you guys. I'm like you guys too.
thank
I
you so
think
much,
I think
Rocky.
I see a lot. I see a lot of pictures that look like pareidolia to me,
Mhm.
and I don't see anything. But
Yeah.
that one is definitely
Yeah. It
no
definitely stuck
question
out
about
to
it.
me. Yep.
Especially since what happened prior to it, that I invited
Mhm.
them to visit me, and
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I don't knock anybody for pictures at all, even if I personally believe it's pareidolia. As you said, I wasn't there when the picture was taken, and I feel like there's a lot more that goes into a picture than our
yeah,
senses. Our
yeah.
pictures don't pick that up.
Well, let's get this straight though. I'm not saying they're pareidolia because everybody perceives them in a different
Right.
way, and a
Agreed.
lot of people see those pictures in that way.
Hmm.
So there's got to be something to it, I think.
Yeah.
But we all have our own
Hmm.
strengths and weaknesses when
Yes.
connected with them or things. And
Hmm.
I don't see a lot in some of the pictures, but that doesn't mean there's not anything there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
and
do
and
see. Yeah,
and I do have to say that I enjoy getting pictures and looking at them,
Mhm.
again, and I don't criticize anybody for sending anything in because who am
Right.
I? I'd never walked in anybody's shoes, so I'm
Hmm.
pretty cool with it. But if I can't see something, it's usually like Chris and Brandy have like the sharper eye than I do in a lot of these things. I'll be honest. So I'll send it to them and they'll say yay or nay. But even that is so I don't like to be negative with any of
Hmm.
this. You got to always have that positive energy because I'm always looking. And I think a lot of people, you got to look to be skeptical on things. And you
Right.
also have to look to like my own things that I might photograph. I try to debunk everything
Hmm.
before I would even put something out because
yeah.
personally, that's how I am. Right.
Well, like I said, you got to use discernment.
Right.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
you lose. You just lose track. I mean, everything's
Hmm.
Sasquatch or everything's this and everything's
We've
that.
we've got about 3 minutes before we have to take our first break with our radio audience, but I want to pull up one more picture and you
Hey, somebody
explain
just sent
this.
me $20. Is that for me?
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, thank you, Rocky.
Yes, thank you, Rocky.
Rocky's a great supporter of the show. A big
Thanks,
fan
Rocky. I'll
himself.
go and
Yeah,
buy a
thanks,
couple of
Rocky.
beer for the Leafs game
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah. There I go for the Maple Leafs. I'm going to go through this one. You explain to me what this is because we've all heard about blob squash. We've all heard about weird things, but this is. I'm not suggesting this is blob squashes at all. I need you to explain this, and it might take longer than 2.5 minutes, which is what we have left here in
I
the
probably
first
won't.
half.
I think I know the one you're talking about. Oh, that.
Yeah, what the hell we got going on here, man?
Okay, well, there's so much I could talk to you guys about. Like, we won't have time to talk about it. We'll just be scratching the surface. But
Sure.
basically, I've had Sasquatch will put pictures on your camera.
Okay.
They will remove pictures from your camera. And all of that stuff's happened to me, where we've taken pictures, and my wife and I took pictures of a raven feather one time that we were gifted, and Sasquatch were involved because, like I said, they're connected with the animals. They can see through their eyes. They can shapeshift through them, and whatever. And so we all took like 5 photographs of this raven feather that was by our fire when we were out camping out in the bush, and later that evening, we said, oh, let's look at those pictures. And my wife I looked at my camera, and both pictures of that raven feather were gone. My wife looked at hers, and all 3 of her pictures that she took were gone. Every other picture was there. I've had experiences where I've been talking to people that were brought together for the purpose of, they just set us all up for a specific reason, for a teaching moment. And one time I was talking to this guy, and I said, well, oh yeah, show this fellow the picture that we took out in the woods, because it was related to our Sasquatch experience that day. And I also was saying, sometimes they remove pictures from cameras, and sure enough, that picture was gone, and every other picture was there. Just as I'm explaining that they remove pictures from cameras, they showed us in real time that yes, they do. And later in the day, they added another picture, okay, in the same exact spot where that one would have been.
Wow.
And I think I've got a picture of that too. So anyway, that picture that you're talking about, Rob, to try to get it under the 2 minutes, sure, is they just added to my camera. I was out with my wife in the woods, and I did not take that picture. They just put that there. And I think it's just kind of interdimensional or something, or they have a weird effect on pictures. Like it's like their energy like distorts the pictures, and it's like, it's bizarre. But
yeah. Wow.
That's just fascinating. I love this stuff. I love this show.
Yeah.
Thank you to Super Chats for the rolling here, Mindfork. Thank you to Pammy Smith. Thank you for everybody. I'll thank you all in a minute when we get back, because we are cutting it close. We have to take our 5-minute break for our advertising. So thank you to everybody. Brian Bland, fantastic show thus far. We got a lot more coming up with Brunch, with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, the lovely Krista. Fascinating. Brian Bland. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Don't go nowhere. Grab your popcorn, or whatever you're drinking and eating.
I'm going to make another copy.
All right. We'll be back in 5 minutes, everybody. Thanks.
Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. 2-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Thank you to everybody for joining Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. I am so loving this show. Brian Bland, Pork and Beans, go check him out. Fantastic show. Thank you to Midwest Night Watchers, Rocky, Mindfork, Pammy Smith, and Long Island Mike for your fantastic super chats. It is most appreciated. Thank you so much for streaming on. Of course, Brunch, Bigfoot Mission Rob channel, Texas Front Porch channel. And we're also streaming on the Blondes and Booze. Go give everybody a like if you would. That'd be awesome. On Mondays, it's Texas Front Porch, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesdays, Van Buren Variety comes on 8 o'clock in the East. Beyond BMR, 9 o'clock in the East. Wednesdays, you know what? I forgot. Jason McLean also, Mysterious Library and Untold Radio AM. You can find him also Tuesdays, 10 in the East. Wednesdays, Jason McLean questions everything, 9 o'clock in the East. Thursdays, right back here with Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. We come on, of course, 1 o'clock in the East. Later on tonight, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast, 9 o'clock in the East. Fridays, you want some woo with the booze mixed in? The Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast, once again, Fridays at 9. Tex and Danielle Diva doing something called Infamous Minds. It's true crime that debuted about a month ago. Go check it out. 3 o'clock in the East. Saturdays in the nighttime, Jessica Jones, Space Cell Radio, 10 in the East, Saturday and Sunday. And the lovely Danielle Diva follows up afterwards. She comes on at 11. Please subscribe. Bigfoot, Mr. Rob, Texas Front Porch, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. Go check out Brian Bland, Pork and Beans on YouTube. Fantastic guests. And I'm excited. Thanks to all. I'm going to bring everybody up. I'm making sure Kristen and Brian are all ready backstage. Thanks for joining us. There's Krista. And here's Brian. Thank you, man, for joining, man.
Just got my coffee in under the wire.
Yeah. During the 5-minute break, I have to do a lot of running around, let out the dogs, take care of other business, right, Krista? That's it. There's always something going on. Fantastic show, Brian. I'm loving this. The audience is loving this. A lot of love for you. And thank you for joining, Brian.
Hey, that little instrumental you play, like I'm a songwriter, singer-songwriter, that little instrumental. Yes. Like how I write songs is I just hear something, first couple chords, and I write a song. I wrote a fantastic freaking song to that instrumental, man. But I can't. I needed my little recorder. Yeah, because
Well,
it's all gone now.
if you want to go back and replay it, and then maybe if you're a singer, maybe dub some voice overlays, and maybe we can add the Brian Bland version with a little
Well,
vocalization.
hey man, it was actually really good. Thing is though, is like it's all inspirational or whatever. So like if you try to reproduce it, it's not going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
So it'd have to be a flat recording, I guess. I'm not that technically savvy with all that. I'm just learning editing and stuff. So it's always a learning process, much like we're learning today about your fantastic relationship.
That was something though, that music thing is actually something that's kind of related, because I remember when I was writing my songs or whatever, like that's how they would come to me. They just like hear something or get a thought and I'd just go with it, and it'd be like the whole thing would be there. And I always thought I'm going somewhere and retrieving it from someplace and bringing it back. So,
do you ever play music for the Sasquatch?
Oh yeah, I sing for them and I play my drum and stuff. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know if they prefer like one type over another, or are they kind of like it all?
Anything that's heart centered.
Mm-hmm.
If you have high energy when you're doing it,
mm-hmm.
they don't want to come and hang out with you if you're like grumpy and like talking about the world today and all the problems that we're facing, and nagging and bitching about your negative stuff. They like it when you're talking about high vibrational things, and music and laughter and stuff is high vibrational.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when they tend to come around. So it's a very good thing to play music or laugh or be happy out when you're connecting with them.
Very cool.
So yeah, as I said, Brian, so many great photos you sent in. I want to start. Let me see. I don't think I showed this one. Well, this looks like a duplicate.
Before we end the show, though, I do want to talk about what their message is for us and whatever. But
Brian, you know what? You can do whatever you like. We still have time. In fact, we'll probably go a little over than we normally do, because I want to give you the time to get off your message to everybody, because right now the fans, the audience members are loving it.
And so you also have several questions too for Brian.
Yeah, we've got some questions in there for you too. So
are you going to hang around a little longer too, Krista?
I'll be here as long as the show's going.
Very good. So no worries.
You wouldn't want to be on the Pork and Bean show. We've gone like 4 hours before.
Oh yeah.
We're like we just do whatever the hell we want, right?
There's nothing wrong with that. It's your show. You do what you want.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing wrong
when you're behind the controls.
That's right.
You do what you need to do. And
Rob and I were talking about sports half the show, right?
We start, for everybody, I mean, again, our audience is not a lot of sports fans either. Me and Brian started talking hockey for the first 20 minutes. He lost probably about 15 viewers. Like, oh, screw these guys.
Too much sports. Some guy commented on my YouTube channel. I just gave him a love emoji or something.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You just show them the love and you move on.
Mm-hmm.
Show them the love and move on. Okay, we saw it. Okay, Brad, let's get into it. Now, this is very interesting. So if you could walk us through this picture, I see what I think I see. And I'm thinking, well you know what? I'll let you explain it.
Well, remember how I said they can travel in smoke and mist and stuff and appear? I took this picture, and like I said, with all these pictures, when I take them, sometimes I think I'm just guided to take a picture, but I didn't see what I saw after the fact. But I see like Ari's big head there. Do you see it over to the left?
Mm-hmm. I do.
You can see the 2 eyes, you see the nose, you see the mouth, and he's kind of smiling, and
even kind of ears.
Beg your pardon?
Some ears. It looks like an ear, maybe.
Could be. I see the forehead. I see the nose, the eyes, the mouth, mostly. Bit of the chin, but it's pretty compelling, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You guys see that?
You know what, man? Upper left-hand corner, right? Yeah, I see the eyes, the nose, and the mouth clearly. I mean, in the mist, that's very distinct. It even looks like a tuft of hair on top.
Mm-hmm.
So for everybody that maybe can't see that, I see it clearly now. And I'll be honest with you, Brian, I didn't see that when I was perusing the pictures earlier. And now I see a clear face. So everybody, upper left, that big white smoke, that is definitely a face.
Mm-hmm.
Nice
So
word there,
that's
perusing.
so that's kind of what. And how would you explain that though? It's obviously ethereal, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
Sasquatch, and it's just in a spiritual form, I guess, or ethereal, as I mentioned
Well,
earlier.
yeah, like they can take any the forms that they can take is only limited to the breadth of their imagination, is how I describe it. I mean, like they travel in mist and they can appear out of mist, or they can change any picture that they want. I've actually had pictures, and my wife has had this too, where she's taken a picture, and after the picture was taken, they added something to the picture. Now, how advanced is that?
Mm-hmm.
So these beings are like super advanced, and that to me is just RE, saying hello in the picture. I've got another picture where my wife and I are that I didn't include today, where we're doing a selfie with goofing around, like making goofy faces way back in the woods, and you can see RE right beside us in that mist smoky form, and he's just laughing like he's just hamming it up, right? So yeah, they're beautiful. I mean, the heart of these people is amazing. That's why it really kind of hurts me in a sense when people call them monsters or whatever. From my relationship with them, like if anybody, we should be calling ourselves monsters, although we're not. We just made to believe that we are, but
Right.
they're not. The ones I know are certainly not monsters.
And and I gotta tell you, I'll be the first to admit, and we spoke about this, you and I off air the other day, Brian. And I never bring up my encounters unless it resonates. And yes, I thought it was a monster in the very beginning. In 2018, hey, let me tell you, I was scared. My girlfriend died 3 months later. So I was just all pissed off at the forest, and I called it a monster. It looked like a humanoid, right? Then it transformed into a demonic looking thing. We got that shockwave of blast where I lost all sense of time. I couldn't see. It was black and white. Girlfriend flips off the boat. I get it in. It yells, screams, roars. 3 months later, and 3 months and 3 days to the date, August 18th of 2018, Cindy dies, man. I want to go back to the forest, and I say this. I have to say this freely. I can't change my story. I wanted to go and kill it, or whatever the hell it was. And again, I always say I don't know what it was, because after 5 years, I've come around that no, I don't use the term monster or creature. I usually just go with Sasquatch or Bigfoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not to the point where I'm going to say the friendly forest giant or the forest people, because that's just me, and that's just me, and I'm just being transparent with that. But what you bring to the table, really, and for everybody listening, is a beautiful thing, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they give me they allow me to take these pictures for the purpose of showing people. It's touched you guys, so that's the purpose of it, right? That's the reason for the sharing, and that's the reason for them giving me all these amazing experiences and photographs, because they want to introduce themselves to us.
And I will tell you this about Krista. You're scoring points with Krista because she is the scrutinizer of what you're showing us with pictures. And I could tell, I've known her for a little while. I could tell that she's like, man, fantastic. And it is fantastic. Thank you for Derek and Vixen Doe for your super chats that you just sent out. I do appreciate that. You guys are awesome. You're wonderful. I'm going to go on here and find another. You got so much cool stuff here. I'm going to. Okay. Go ahead, Krista.
I was going to say something real quick. You go back to when you talked about the knowing. I was in a place, and I guess it's been several years now, and it was in the middle of the night. And I've done ghost hunting for many, many years. Ghosts don't scare me. However, this particular night, it was about 2:00 in the morning, and I went outside, and I got scared. There was something out there that was not right. It was not a ghost. And jump forward 6 months later, a good psychic medium friend of mine, we were at that location, and she said, tell me what happened over there. And she said, I see a camper, but not that camper. And she described everything. And she said, there was a Sasquatch there. And so I guess, I've had an encounter. I say I do now, because how would she have known to describe, what took place that day? And so I really believe that I did have an encounter. And then fast forward, that next day we were holding an event out there, and we were there with about 30 people, and something was thrown between myself and another gal that landed in between us, and it was late at night, and we were talking Bigfoot. So
Yeah, that's almost definitely Sasquatch.
yeah, and it didn't hit us, so it had precise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right between
they just want to get your attention so you can put the clues together.
Yeah.
And the fact that you learned just the day prior that somebody said that there was a Sasquatch standing there.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, okay, well, now you've considered that. Now how about we take you another step?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been I've been on a mission now to learn anything and everything I can about them.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just keep an open heart and an open mind.
Yeah.
All right.
And discernment, because you still gotta,
Absolutely.
Okay, Brian, I'm going to scroll down here. What we got going on here?
That's beautiful. This is excuse me, this is way up in the mountains. My friend and I we saw a trackway that day too, a big long trackway, just close to where this is. So this is, like I said, they connect with me through messages on a personal level, right? And and if people want to leave their own glyph or whatever, like that represents them, like Krista starts with K. If you wanted to leave a K out in the woods or something, made of sticks or something, they might start changing it around and connecting with you in that way, because that was my experience, and I've actually recommended that to a few people, and it happens quite often. So this is the personal message to me, okay? And we don't have enough time for me to explain how I know these things, but it's through multiple experiences, situations, the context of the messages, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so they left me this one way up in the mountains, and as you can see, I'm trying to do my cursor like I do on my show, but you can see an A there, right?
Yep.
And then you can see the X. So it's friendship welcome from the clan of RE. So it's a greeting to me. And you see the little fish kind of thing up top?
Mm-hmm.
Of the A? That fish glyph is my connection to Susan, my wife. It's about our connection. They've left me hundreds of these, literally.
Wow.
And I know, just let's say I know what it means. I mean, I've been looking at it and finding their stuff, and then all of a sudden I look over and there's two ravens standing right beside me, cocking their head, looking at me, just to make sure I get the message and put the connection together. So anyway, it is our fish glyph, and I've got a lot of examples of that in some of the other pictures. So what it basically means is, can you bring it back for a second?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
So what it basically means is that Brian and Susan are connected. That's the fish. We are connected to RE, or the clan of RE, because the A also represents his family and him. And we have a friendship between us. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
Absolutely.
and like I said, when you say, if somebody wants to consider the fact, and it's not true. And, but if somebody who doesn't had the experience might say, well, like I said, people just made that and left it for you, or trying to trick you, whatever. No, this is way up in the mountains. There was not another soul within miles. And plus we saw the trackway there too. And the message is consistent. So that was just a greeting of our connection between my wife and I and this particular clan. They actually told me that they wanted that we had work to do for them. So they kind of connected us. They can play Cupid too.
Wow. So when you're out there and you find these, are you looking for them, or you just happen to look that way and, oh my gosh, there it is?
Well, I'm very aware of them, so I'm kind of like paying attention. But at other times, and I think I've got a picture of that. My wife said we're walking along, and stuff like this happens all the time too. And she says, "Geez, I wonder if the clan is with us today, or I wonder if they give us a sign. And then right as she's taught that, right below her feet is a beautiful A glyph.
Wow.
You know, like thought action. It's amazing.
Wow. These are so amazing. Here's something else here, Brian.
Oh, yeah. There's an amazing story to this. So I'm walking along. I'm coming back out of the woods from about a 4-day excursion with a friend of mine. And we had a lot of Sasquatch experiences while we were there. And as we're walking along the trail, all of a sudden, the trail is about 12 feet wide. About 9 feet from one end, or about 3/4 of the way across, in other words, I saw a Sasquatch fully materialize out of thin air, right? Okay. He just like fully materialized out of thin air, walked off the trail and up the slope, mossy slope. My friend, because he wasn't as far along in his understanding of Sasquatch, and maybe he won't even pursue it to my extent, or probably not. But anyway, he wasn't ready to see a Sasquatch. So remember when I told you that they can give you any sensory, audible, or visual experience they want? He saw a little dog.
Wow.
I saw the Sasquatch, 100%. I saw it fully materialize. He saw a little dog. So go back to that picture again, because this is where I'm coming into what the picture means. So at the end I decided, let's go to this place where I hold my gathering for them every year and just check it out. And we'll end off a beautiful 3 or 4 days and just see what's going on there. So we're walking along there, and it's quite dark out. And I've got a swivel lantern headlamp on my head. And a thought came into my head. Once again, a perfect example of thought placement, okay? And I said, I wonder if they left me a glyph. As soon as I said that, and the swivel of the lamp just happened to be facing right down on the ground, I turned it on. As soon as I had that thought, there was this glyph, which is a 4, which is the signature of Forstner, one of the Sasquatch people that I know. And what it meant was that was me who you saw go across the path. That was me who was interacting with you all weekend. And that was his confirmation of that. So thought, like, I wonder if they did this, and then there it is. So that's how advanced this is and how beautiful and evolved it is, right?
Wow.
Oh yeah, fantastic. I'm going to go on. Everybody, Brian Bland, Pork and Beans, is with us today. Fantastic show.
By the way, the name of my group on
Yes.
YouTube is
Go ahead.
Sasquatch BC, the true story, / the Pork and Beans show. So it's Sasquatch BC, the true story on YouTube. On Facebook, it's the Pork and Beans group, where we have all our shows, and people can subscribe to any of them.
Yeah, I got to get. Okay, if anybody in chat can pull up the links, I have the link. I think I do have the link in the description, but if any of our moderators can find it and pull it up and throw it out there, can you repeat that one more time, Brian? Your YouTube and the Facebook group.
Sasquatch BC, the true story, is the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I got like over 620 videos on there, and about my teachings and experiences and all the Pork and Bean shows. And then on Facebook, it's the Pork and Bean show. And anybody who's respectful, open-minded, is welcome to join.
Wow.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Because it's a safe place to share. We don't have anybody on there saying, like negative, like the trolls and all that. We don't have any of those guys.
Oh no. Yeah, that's how we operate all our shows across the board. 6 days a week. We are open-minded people. And you know what? I have to say this. Midwest, Rocky, Mindford, Pammy, Long Island, Derek, Vixendo, Anella, Gemini, thank you for the awesome super chats. We have the best
absolutely
audience that are in chat. The people that don't participate in chat, that just watch the shows, are awesome. I love you all. I love and thank you for the amazing super chats and supporting the show. And again, how we operate here is we believe we don't criticize or condemn anybody. You could tell me that you went to the moon and saw Sasquatch on the moon. You know, in that, I tell you what, the way I operate, though, I'm going to listen to you, and I'll let you tell your story without ridicule.
Well, you know something. That sounds bizarre, but one of the ways Sasquatch connects with you is through dreams.
Yeah,
they literally, they're more than a dream; they're a real dream. And I'll give you a quick example of that. So this sounds bizarre, but like I said, they can take on any form that they want. It's just limited by the breadth of their imagination. Okay, they can even take on human form, and I've actually seen them take on human form. And there's a couple times when it was proven positive to me that they did that. So I'll just leave it at that. But they're capable of that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so otherwise, we're going to get into too much.
I'll ask you. I mean, we'll take a little break from the pictures. You bring up a good point, though. Do you think, because I'm interested in this, do you think that the Sasquatch can shapeshift into whatever they want? Yeah. And number one, though, is that from your perception, let's say that could they take any shape and present it as that? Or is it something that your mind manifests? Or is it something they project upon you?
Well, it could be that too, because they can make you see anything, like I said, any visual, audible, or sensory thing that they want. But
thanks, Tex. Sorry, Brian. Tex just put your link. Thank you, Tex.
Actually, that was me. I just put it under all, so it went to all 3 channels.
Well,
sorry.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you, Krista. Sorry.
It could be either or one or the other. Because but I mean, a couple of the experiences in particular, I had other people with me, but that doesn't mean that they didn't give them the same thing.
All right.
So it could be that they want us to perceive them like that, or they actually did it. It's either way. Or it could be both.
Okay. We got to hold the fort for just 1 second. Brown Dwarf has entered one of the chat rooms, and I have to say the headgear that I'm sporting today is, if you all can see it, it's brand new. Mr. Brown Dwarf. This is courtesy. It's hand stitched. It was made by the hands of either his wife, his girlfriend, or his main squeeze. I don't know, but this was sent to me from Mr. Brown Dwarf. Thank you, Brown. I broke it in today because I knew that my guest was going to be fantastic. So I had to put on a fantastic headgear. Again, Brown Dwarf, thank you so much. I love this. This is awesome. It's a little bigger. It took me a little while to figure out how to put it on, Brown, because it's about 6 inches larger than my other bandanas. But man, I love you and thank you for that, bro. Sorry, Brian. I had to show the love to Brown Dwarf.
Yeah, we had Brown Dwarf on our show.
Oh yeah. He's good. So
where were we anyway? So yeah, my friend Kevin Royce has an amazing story that was proof positive, and I don't really want to get into it but that they can shapeshift into people. I mean, there's no question.
Okay.
Or make you perceive them as that.
Exactly.
Like
and so that was kind of my thoughts, and I just want to get your perspective on that. Okay, I don't know if we've shown this. Did we show this one, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we showed that one. So, and I think we have not seen this one.
Okay, well, remember I said they could take any shape that they want. That's our face in the rock. Can you see it? Top of the rock.
Oh, you know what? I gotta tell you how dumb my spatial relations. Now that you mention it, because I looked at this rock earlier, and I will admit to you, what the hell is this? And now you just said top of the rock. It's flat on the rock. I see a mouth, a nose, and 2 eyes. I really do.
You can even see the nostrils. You can see everything.
Yeah, man, that's fantastic. Anybody out there? I just picked it up. It's right on the top of the rock. I see a face, my friend. I actually see a face.
It's more than pareidolia. That's like it's too detailed.
Yeah, no, it is detailed.
So they can take any shape or form that they want. So this is kind of like displaying that here, and this is actually exactly where I had my first sighting of him when they left that glyph propped up in the sand. This is a very magical area. I've had incredible stuff happen there, but there he is. That's his face. That's him, and look how happy he is.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you pointed that out, because I was trying to figure that one out. And it just goes to show you that we all can't see things immediately, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I did not see anything in this, so I'm glad that. So I was going to ask you about it, and now that you mentioned that, I clearly see it. I mean,
but you can't unsee it now, right?
No,
you
you
can't
can't.
unsee it. You cannot unsee it.
It's like that picture of RE, that other one. Once you see it,
Yeah,
you just can't unsee it. And actually, that picture of RE actually looks good small too.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
For those of you just joining us, you got to go back and watch the replay because this is about the 10th picture we've shown. And Brian Bland, fantastic, communicates with Sasquatch, lives with them, and we're gonna have to move on. So a lot of great stuff. Let's go on to this one here, Brian.
okay, that's a guy. My friend Little Buddy. He's peeking at me from behind my shoulder. I was taking a selfie. So can you see? You can see his head and most of his body. You see him there?
Kind of on the right side.
Yeah, but he basically center. He takes up a lot of the picture. You can see his head. I see
Okay,
his
is
head,
that
brow,
white?
eyes, nose.
And then there's a white. There would be where the mouth is, correct?
No, I don't think that's the mouth. I think that's just a leaf or something.
Yeah. Okay.
His mouth would be to the right of that, and it would be darker. But you can see his shoulders. You can see one of his arms quite clearly.
Okay, I see it
coming
kind
down
of
on the
dropping
right hand
down.
side. His torso, a lot of his torso. And once again, he's partially cloaked. Do you see that, Krista?
Yep, I do see it. Wow. Fantastic.
That's my little juvenile buddy. I've had a rock throwing contest with him, actually. That was really fun.
Who won the contest, Brian?
He kicked my ass. He was doing double and triple ricochets off the. Actually, it happened. It was one day I went up there and I threw a rock, and it just a hollow, beautiful thunk sound. It was just perfect. And I said, "Wow, you can't match that," or whatever. He actually did one right after, and mine was better. And I said, "Not every day you kick a Sasquatch's ass or whatever." But I went back a couple of days later, tried it again. He was doing double and triple ricochets, and it went on for about 10 minutes, and he just schooled me, man. Like just like it was yeah. You don't want to have an athletic endeavor contest with a Sasquatch or a rock contest or something.
You'll never win, right?
No.
Let me ask, throughout your experiences and so forth, moving forward, have you had a solid visual? There's a lot of people that say the flesh and blood, and we're talking everything else, the manifestations. Have you ever seen a Sasquatch in like a physical form, such as an animal? I know they're the forest people. I don't want to call them an animal creature. I get that. But have you ever seen them in a physical form, just running across the trail or at your campsite or by the fire in the distance?
Yeah, and I've seen them in many forms. I've seen them in shadow form. I've seen them where they materialize out of thin air, like a few times. I've seen them looking around a stump or up on top of the stump. I've seen them. Well, I mean, RE, when I saw him, he was pretty much fully materialized. He might have been like, if materialization is a gradual process, he was like 95% materialized. He was still kind of ethereal or spirit or whatever, but I could see all his details and his bulk and everything. So yes, I have.
Awesome.
Oh, and I wanted to tell you, you were talking, remember I told you, this is kind of neat. I told you about how they can communicate with you in dreams. And I was thinking about so like I said, I'm still use discernment. So I still try to, think things over. And I'm thinking, well, Sasquatch shape-shifting into humans. I mean, I know they could do it, but you still kind of think about it, right? So I'm pondering that thought. And that very night, when I went to bed, I had a dream, and I saw a Sasquatch. I've had a number of Sasquatch dreams, and they're not really dreams. And he walked right in front of me, right in front of my eyes, and shape-shifted into a human.
Wow.
That would be something to see.
So that's the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer. Okay, we saw that.
My little.
Did we see this one?
Yeah,
we saw that.
That one.
This
That's
is
just a really really neat glyph.
okay.
Wow.
There's a bunch of stuff in that.
Okay.
Roof of protection. There's I think they got my initial in there. They got Y stick, which means man Sasquatch connected. They got a bunch of different things in there. It's just a big detailed message.
Okay.
Once again, not oh, here's another one. And can you see over to the left? You see the little handprint? Probably a little juvenile did that. See the little handprint over by the left one?
Yeah, is that well, I'm trying to look. Is that it's on the left?
You see the ones on the left?
Oh
The
no,
curve?
I see it above the curve, 3 little fingers.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do see that. Now that you mention it, it's very pronounced. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have left prints on my truck and stuff and all that kind of.
So I am
regular
assuming
stuff
that's
people find.
trying to get scale on this, Brian. That I guess that's an infant.
I would say it's a little one playing, yeah. A little guy.
Now this here, I'm going to pull up this picture, everybody. This is fascinating. When I first saw this, I thought aliens. But
Oh, wow.
Okay, well, this is like the circle kind of connection, right? Spiral kind of thing. Now, remember when I said they will guide you to discoveries, or you have a thought and you find something right away, or they'll guide you off trail and you'll find stuff? Well, on this particular day, all kinds of stuff was happening. This was one of the days when I saw another one that I saw walk across the path and materialize, very similar to the first time. And I was finding all kinds of glyphs, and I was being led all over the place. And I was led off trail, and I found this. Now look at all the sticks. They're all curved.
Mm-hmm.
They're all curved. Can you imagine finding that many sticks curved?
Wow.
no,
See
I
what
mean
they're-
they are. I mean, if you look at when I first thought, if you look right from the very center, right, it starts with the hook, and then it starts swirling out. It kind of reminds me of like a cinnamon donut, right? But the thing about this is, I mean, just the swirls. I mean, it's matriculate, right? I mean, it is. Where can you find and get the curve and the bend? That's certainly something that's not made by a person.
No.
Hmm.
Well, plus the fact that I was led off trail to find these things. I found like 3 of them that day.
Wow. That's really cool.
No, I like that one.
And not all in the same place too. There was a couple different locations. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean that defies logic. You're not going to find that many curved sticks.
Wow.
That would take you a long time to go into the woods and find that many curved sticks to make that.
Moving on here.
This just speaks to their heart. It's another AX kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw it, I just started weeping, like because the love and the care behind it. Look how they decorated it with a little piece of moss on top of the bark and a fern, and it just speaks to their, like that's why I get so sad when people call them monsters. Like a monster wouldn't communicate with love like that to somebody. I mean that's all heart.
That's put together with the A. And the first thing I thought when I looked at this, I'm going to ask you because I know it wasn't because of the grass, and I live in British Columbia. You get snow. The leafy figure reminded me of a Christmas tree. So I was wondering if there was any connection. But then again, I know in Christmas time for you probably get pounded with snow.
Well, actually, that's not true. We're on the coast, so we've gone through whole seasons where I live. Winter season when we haven't had any snow, so it's it's quite mild up here. Yeah, we don't live in igloos and stuff.
Well, my buddy Dave Scott, that's why I said he's in BC, and he always gets pounded with snow. So I just assume BC where you live. So I guess your guys are on a different side of you're closer to the coast then. So that explains it.
Yeah, it's like it's the same kind of temperature as in Washington State or Oregon or whatever.
Gotcha.
That's pretty neat. Well, we're gonna move on here. We got about 5 left here.
Oh wow, this is an amazing story. Okay, so this one talks about my point that they know what we're thinking before we even formulate the thought. Like this one had a part of this glyph shows me that that's a fact, and it's not just this one; it's many, many, many. But this is a good illustration of that. So my wife and I were camping, and we're sitting in front of our tent, and we heard a Sasquatch person with big, heavy breathing in the bush just off to our left, which is would be the right in this picture, because it's a mirror image, right?
Yes.
So, and my wife said, "Oh, that's Fortuna." Like she's very gifted, and so I trusted her that that's who it was. It was one of the four, and they were just observing us. So we went to bed that night. When I got up the next morning, this was about 10 feet in front of my tent, and it was placed there. And it wasn't there the night before because, like, I'm right into glyphs, so I always look around all around the area and whatever, and it was not there 100%. So it was made during the night. So look at what we're looking at here. You see there's a tent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's even the tent floor. There's even tent pegs, like they know how a tent's constructed. Look inside the tent. There's two little sticks. That's my wife and I.
Wow.
See that? See the stick, the bigger stick off to the right, which would be the left in real time? That's Fortuna, or the Sasquatch person watching us, right?
Wow. I do see that.
So you do see that, right? So he drew exactly what he observed us doing. Sometimes they will do like a pictogram where they draw what they observe. Other times it's a message. It can be either.
Wow.
Okay, so here's the beautiful part. So I'm looking at the roof, and I'm thinking, okay, well, there's the X up there, right? Friendship welcome. That's standard kind of communication from them. So it's showing that he's watching us in the tent, exactly what we thought he was doing. He's extending his friendship welcome.
Wow.
But you see the stick to the 11 o'clock position?
Yep.
You see that stick there? And how it joins the other stick that forms the wall on the right-hand side? Well, that is a Y, okay? Okay. So about 5 years after I took this picture, or maybe, well, approximately, something like that, I came up with the meaning for that between myself and them, and it means man, Sasquatch connected. One shaft is man, one shaft is Sasquatch. I mean, one prong is man, one prong is Sasquatch, and the main shaft is connected.
Wow.
So when I looked at this initially, I said, I wonder what that stick to the 11 o'clock hour means, but I will eventually know. Well, what it means is that we are connected. It's not only greeting us, it's saying man and Sasquatch are connected. So he's showing us that he was watching us. He's showing us that we're friends, and he's showing us that we have a connection.
Wow.
I got to ask you.
And like I said, this is 5 years before I came up with that meaning. And the very next day when I came up with the meaning, they left me a big Y stick that, like just to confirm it or whatever, it was propped up against a tree, just where I was led to. So people got to understand, like, I just don't see like one of these things and then I come up with some wackadoodle meaning or whatever. It's very extensive and detailed, and there's no question when it's personal for you.
See, I was amazing. It's very amazing. I mean, this is fantastic. Great show, Brian Bland, Port Cunningham. When I was going through these, I looked at these pictures last night when you sent them out over, and I'm, of course, I thought they were all pretty cool. I wondered what the story was behind them. But as you're explaining what you think they are, because I would never come up with what you're telling us about all these. When you're looking at these and deciphering them, it's a different way of thinking, right? Do you think that thinking is projected from the Sasquatch people, or is that just you, Brian Bland, coming up on it from your own intellect? Because I couldn't come up with anything.
Like I said, they leave me dozens and dozens of these messages, and the circumstances and the way they're put together and whatever, and the fact that we worked them out between us lets me know what they are.
Okay.
So it's a student-teacher relationship. They're helping me with the meaning, but I'm also part of the, I'm also going through the course, so to speak.
Gotcha.
So
Okay, no,
right.
thanks for the answer. That makes perfect sense.
That's a nice structure
Mm-hmm.
that they made.
Wow.
And I find all kinds of structures, but you got to be careful with structures because people make them too.
Yeah, we won't get into that. We all do know that, especially those smaller ones. I think, Brian. I think, and it's not whether they're big or small. You hear a lot of things could be deadfall. It could be from a storm. It could be from the winter leftover, and you see this just a bunch of leaves, branches all on top of each other. To me, the difference is when you look at a lot of things you've shown us is the time and the effort put into it. Like you'll see the structures that are woven together. They might be not that big, but you can tell if they're woven, something did it versus just deadfall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they will even use string, whatever. They'll use whatever they can use. I mean, they'll even put string in their structures. There's not an exact science, but let me put it this way. They've proven to me from some of my experiences and talking to like the rangers and the parks and whatever that I frequent, they definitely make some of them. I'm not going to say they don't make them all though. Once again, discernment, right? Same thing with rock stacks. They make rock stacks, but they don't. People do too. Yeah.
We're going to move here we got a couple left, and this is pretty cool.
Here's another example of them. Here's another perfect example of them knowing the meaning of something before I realized what it was. Now, when I saw this, I knew that fish glyph was my wife and I. That's our connection glyph, right? Brian and Susan are connected.
Right.
Now, the little leaf over to the left, I think that's just a garnish or a decorative touch from the female. That tells me that she did it. Mm-hmm. She's very artistic. But when I first seen this, you notice on the left-hand side how it curves in, and there's like a little Y that curves into the center of it. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Once again, before I knew what the meaning was, that just once again says Brian and Susan are connected, and man Sasquatch are connected, because that's what the Y means.
Right.
But once again, I didn't know that when I took it. I was actually doing a project for YouTube when I was talking about glyphs and stuff, and was looking for this particular picture. And I said, as soon as I seen it, I said, oh my God, once again, they already knew the meaning that was going to be, shared between us before I did. So, it's that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
And you can see it makes perfect sense, right? Like Brian and Susan are connected. Man and Sasquatch are connected, and we are connected to you, which, kind of goes along with the first two. But
Wow.
Well, here's the last picture of the day, Scott. Thanks, Scott Marion, for that awesome super chat. Here's the last one here we've got. And then we've got a few other things I'd like to follow up. We have some questions in chat that the Krista was marking. And then, of course, you want to talk about the message. So we got a little ways to go. So, Brian, here we go. Last one.
Well, this is quite a big story, though, actually.
Well, walk us through it. They love the stories. They're loving it.
It's a beautiful story. Like, this is why I sent you about 12 pictures just of this particular story. But anyway.
Oh, this is the first. Well, we're gonna. Okay, well, next, it's 4 months. We'll have you back. But go ahead, tell the story.
I can still tell the story without all those other pictures.
Okay, cool. So
you see the big rock on the left. It kind of looks like a Sasquatch person, doesn't it? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the head? You can even see the eyes and nose, the shoulders, an arm coming down, like a side view. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I came up to that rock, and it was placed on top of a stump. And I just had this knowing that it was for me. It was just placed there. It was just one of those knowing things. But when I first got it, it was like a gray river rock. Okay. When I picked it up, it was a completely different color, like completely different. It looked like just one of those white river rocks with some speckles on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The next day, it transformed into a completely black rock.
Wow.
Like it changed. And I've got the picture of it before and after too. And you can see it's clearly the same rock. So they changed they actually transformed the rock into I don't know if it was a different rock, but it was definitely a different color, and that's not natural.
Wow.
So I treasure all three of these rocks. So they're a set of 3 gift rocks. And if you can see, they're like a family. They all go down at the same angle, right?
Mm-hmm.
From big to small. So I was out in camping solo, and I was holding the big rock up and thanking the Sasquatch people. I love you guys. Thank you so much for this rock. You don't know what it means to me. I can't express it in words. So the next day, as I'm heading out, I hear a whoop, a big Sasquatch whoop, with a puh at the end, like whoop, and go back to the. But we'll get you trained yet there, Rob. No, I'm just joking.
Well, I want everyone to see everybody too. I can't. But go ahead, continue on.
Okay. Okay, so I heard a big whoop, and as soon as I heard that, I looked down on the forest floor right below my feet, and there was that middle rock that looks like another Sasquatch face or an old native Indian or whatever. And as soon as I saw it, I got mind speak. It said, "You're getting a third."
Okay.
So about a year after that, I'm at a gathering with a bunch of people, and this lady went across the road to a place that was right across from the gathering. It was by a river, and Sue and I had just been there, and it wasn't there when we were there. And actually, this lady, I kind of introduced her to the Sasquatch, and I'll quickly, briefly tell you that because it's part of the story too. But anyway, she went across the road immediately after we did, and she saw the third rock on a stump. On a big piece of boulder. And as soon as she picked it up, she said, "This is for Brian." She got that in her head, in my speak, "This is for Brian." So she gave it to me, and I immediately knew, okay, this is the third rock that they said I was going to, when they said you're getting another. Mm-hmm. So this completed the set. And that night, my wife's looking at it on the bottom of it, and I had a picture of that too, but I thought I had it. Sent it to you, but I guess you didn't get it. But that's fine. On the bottom of that rock, my wife said, "Your name's written on the bottom of this rock." And I said, I was busy talking to the people, and I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. I didn't really pay much attention to it. But about a month later, I'm driving down the road with my wife, and she's driving. I got the rock in my hand, and you can let us look now at us if you want. I'm looking at the rock going like this, and can I say, what the F?
Well, yeah, well, you could have said it freely. Now it wouldn't be making any difference now.
Okay. Well, yeah, we do a lot of.
We're off the radio. We go off the radio one. So.
Oh. Okay. Well, whatever. I said, "What the?" And my name is carved on the bottom of that rock, Brian.
Wow.
And the funny thing is it doesn't look like it was just etched in there the other day. It looks like it's as old as the rock, and it's very, very clear. Brian.
Wow.
So that's pretty obvious. This is the third one, and you're getting another. Mm-hmm. So they're all a little set. So anyway, the lady who gave it to me found a glyph on her property one time, but she was just getting into Sasquatch. She didn't know what it was, but she knew it was interesting. So she's camping with my wife and shows her the picture. My wife says, "Show Brian. He knows quite a bit about glyphs. Maybe he can help you or tell you what it means or whatever," that's not how it works. I'm not going to tell you what a glyph means. It's for you. But anyway, that's what she said. So she sent me the picture. The very next day I'm led out. I'm guided to this place. I saw the identical glyph that she showed me in the picture laid out on the forest floor in front of me. And I had never seen one quite like that to that point. And I had tens of thousands of pictures of them, or like 10 or 20,000. So I was like, okay, wow. I know for sure that these two are connected. So when I showed her that picture, she just, oh, wow, it's all real. She could see immediately. It just drew her right in, got her journey started, and she was just totally invested in it. And I think remains so to this day. About a year later, we're at her place visiting, and I'm in BC and she's in Oregon, and my wife was from Oregon. So we're visiting her at her place, and we're walking around in her back field on this path, and we see the identical glyph in beautiful peeled sticks that just stands out in contrast to the forest floor, like just perfect. The same glyph, identical glyph. It was like a pinwheel kind of thing, except this one was signed with RE's A.
Oh, wow.
It was signed with his A, and I'm getting hit up with the energy again. And that just meant that, yes, we did this and we connected you, and this is our verification of that. So it's just amazing, you know.
That is amazing. And, you know, we're getting close. I got some things to ask. And Krista was starting a few questions. Krista, if you want to, can you pull them up for a couple?
Yeah, I only need a couple minutes at the end just to say their message. So that,
or you want me to do it? I know you start some questions, Krista. You want me to do it? Can you?
It doesn't matter. However you want to do it.
It don't matter to me. I'll give you something to do.
Give me something to do. Okay. Well, here's the first one. Gene Hudson asks, Brian, do they give you guidance on what they want you to share and when to share it?
Absolutely. I'm led all over the place, and if I'm talking to somebody and I get a really good confirmation energy or a nudge, they'll tell me through energy if they want me to talk to that person. They will let me know this person is ready to listen or they're open to it, and that's how it works.
Wow.
So yeah, and the sharing part I have to do anyway, because you just have to share this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Anelia asks, hi, Rob and Krista. I missed the first part of the show, but was wondering if Bigfoot has a creation story and how we all got here.
Not that I know of. They haven't. They. It's the big picture kind of thing, or whatever. It's not the little details to me are unimportant.
Yeah.
I don't really care how they got here. I just know that they're here, and what they're sharing is the important thing.
Sure. Next question is from Gene again.
Although I will say that the female DNA is the female portion of the DNA is all human, female human, and the male part is of unknown origin. So it could be like off planet or something like that. So that might answer her question a little bit.
Yeah. Gene asked again, Brian, do you think when people think that they get zapped with infrasound, that it could be mind speak and in their fear, they are blocking it? It's a good question.
Well, there's so many different, the varieties of getting zapped are so different. Sometimes it's a healing. Sometimes it's a download. Sometimes it's mind speak. It could be their fear could be blocking you, though. If you're not open to it, you're not going to accept it. But I had a good comment on that too, and I just escaped me. Infrasound. Make it stop with infrasound. Yeah, okay. It might come back to me. If it does, I'll address that. But yes, it could be. Oh, I know what it means. They can even hit you up like. You can be out in the woods and you're scared because you hear them or something. You hear them talking and stuff, or they're around, and you get really nervous. They can send you an energy that will calm you right down and just make you very comfortable. And they'll send you like a loving kind of energy that just takes the fear away.
Okay.
So that's another thing that they can do. And I've experienced, and others I know have experienced.
Two more questions. Amelia asks, do they have connection with dogmen?
Apparently they've been seen together and they hang out, whatever. But my connection with Sasquatch is so intense that I don't really have any interaction with dogmen or stuff myself. But from other people that I trust and know, they say they're seen together and whatever. And yeah, I think they hang out or whatever at times.
Cool. Last question. Rob S. asks, do you run into a lot of X's? What do you think of them?
He's thinking about the X structures.
Yeah.
That we all see quite readily.
Well, my meaning is friendship welcome, but that doesn't mean it's the same for you.
No, he wants to know. I think he asked if you've seen any physically built structures.
X's.
Oh, all kinds of them.
Okay.
I see them on the ground in little glyphs, and I see them great big huge ones put up in the trees and stuff.
Wow. Gotcha.
All the time, yeah. Very common.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a fantastic show, and I know you've got a final word. I'm going to give you the final word. First of all, before you go, before you speak, thank you so much for joining. I can tell that everybody in the audience has really, they paying attention. They're loving you. and we could go. Thank you for dropping the link, Krista, for
Mhm.
Brian. And
I'll
so,
do it
Brian,
again too,
in
real quick.
summation of the show, I know you had what you think their message is, and if you would like to speak to our audience on that, I would really appreciate it.
Well, they're trying to remind us of who we truly are. We're like all part of the universal collective, like kind of one universal mind, right? Like
Mhm.
every thought and action that we put out there affects everything. They gave me a couple different visuals. One was like of a spider's web that represented the universe, and every little vibration or thought or anything on one piece of the web will vibrate and affect everything. So so we are all one and all connected. And what they want us to know is that we've been lied to by government and the people who want to control us. They want to control us with division, making us talking about that we're all different or whatever. And even though they so-called preach that like we're not, but it's all about division, fear, judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all lower vibrational thoughts and practices. And so when we get out of that judgment, that fear, that belief that we're all divided, whatever, your vibration naturally rises, and you just can't be like that anymore. And that is the key to what people say is that the conscious shift that people are going to go through is raising your vibrations out of those lies. So
wow,
it's it's like the core truths: fear, division, judgment, and really, if you practice it, it really works. Like, I mean, I know I've it's not a thing where you can just like it's a magic pill or whatever. I still do all that stuff. I do it less and less and less. But I find that when I do find those things creeping into my head or whatever, you can turn it off, and you can visually notice how your vibration goes back up again. Like, because when you're hating on somebody and judging people, you're not in a good vibration, are you?
Not at all. Mm-hmm.
No, so, I've learned a lot of these things. Jessica Jones, and now the girls, Krista Brandy, about vibrations and energy. They brought it out of me, and I kind of realized a lot of things today because of these guys, thanks to them. And I agree 1,000% with that. It's all about that, And
yeah, one time I went out into the woods. I was worried about how the world is today, and or it's getting part of that nonsense is over with. But anyway, my wife is from the States, and she was trying to immigrate to Canada, and I'm in Canada, and I was worried, how's she going to get over the border? And so I had a little bit of fear about that. I'm not, I didn't have any fear over any other kind of stuff, because it's just like, I know we're eternal beings, so it's just like a little drop in the bucket. So you have nothing to be afraid of. But that was bothering me. But I went out into the woods one night, and I just poured my heart out to them, and I said, guys, I'm not doing as well as I can. I've got a little bit of fear over this. And it was like a light switch went on. They took it away right away, and I've never really turned back. They just they took it away just with me asking.
Yep.
Wow.
So
fantastic.
So basically, don't believe what we're programmed to believe, that like we're from this country, or we're from this religion, or you're of this color, or this whatever, or all that stuff is just designed to make us think that we're not connected.
Yeah.
When we realize we're connected, and we're connected to everything changes.
Yeah.
And
there's no judgment in that. So it's really not that hard concept.
No, it's not. And what you just closed out with is another show, because I believe, Krista believes, a lot of our audience believes that everything is connected, right?
Yep.
And with that being said, I got to thank you for coming on. Before we go, a couple things. Thanks to Brown Dwarf for my lovely headwear you sent me. Thank you. If you're out there, Brown, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you to Midwest Night Watchers, Rocky, Mindford, Pammy, Long Island Mike, Derek, Vixendo, Anella, Scott, and Gemini for your fantastic super chats and stickers.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I appreciate it. I love each and every single one of you in chat and that listens later. Nothing but respect for you. And Krista, what do
Mhm.
you have going on tonight on Blondes and Booze?
We have, I'm excited about this show. We have the Kling brothers from Discovery Plus's the TV show Ghost Lab. And they actually opened up a 30-year-old murder case, and they've had help solving it with a ghost, and they're coming on to talk about that tonight.
And thank you, Scott. I think I missed you. I know I got this long list. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, Christopher. That'd be a fantastic show, the Kling brothers. And of course, you'll be on Friday with another great show. You want to really quickly on that?
It's a pre-recorded show as Brandy and I are going out of town this weekend. However, it's going to be a great show too. It has Larry Joe Fisher, and he talks about some good Sasquatch encounters. And
I think I met Larry Joe down in Texas. See, Rob, you BMR. I'm like, yeah. Who are you? Go. I'm one of your fans, Larry Joe. I'm like, yeah, I know you, Larry.
Great guy.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And who is awesome is Brian Bland. I enjoyed it, Brian. We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Yep.
Chris is, you know what? I can tell you right now, in less than 24 hours, Krista is going to be calling you to come on her show because I just know Krista.
Blondes and boobs.
There you go.
Lots boobs and booze.
Oh, I thought it was boobs. Sorry.
Oh,
You answer to whatever.
yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody once again in chat and listening later. I love you guys. For Brian Bland, for Krista, BMR. Until next time, we're out.
Bye-bye.